Russia's security service is looking into several possible motives.
So on that day, it was Friday, the weather was very bad. We took a taxi. In this car, there was a radio. They normally have news every 30 minutes.
Boris Nemcov shot to death near the Kremlin.
And we were heading to the bridge, and the driver asked me, why are you going there, and who cares about this? And then I told him, like, you know, I don't know who cares about all of that, but I am Boris Nemcov's daughter. And he was shocked. He was absolutely shocked. And then there was only silence. As a kid, I was extremely lazy. I had zero ambitions, and I loved to ride a bicycle. So I didn't have any objectives, any goals. I just wanted to enjoy my life, which I did. And my parents were not strict, and they wanted me to be absolutely independent at a very early age, also in terms of my preferences. Hey guys, this is the last day of our shooting today.
Start?
Yeah.
I couldn't have imagined that this would be happening to me. Absolutely no. I didn't have any ambition to become a public figure, a social activist, or whatever, and that I would have this life. No, impossible. A good novel has a very good dramatic structure. You have a character, this individual is going through some circumstances in one's life. It's like an evolution of a person, and the same applies to real life. In my case, the major turning point was my father's assassination in 2015.
Nemcov was killed for being one of the most prominent and adamant opponents of President Vladimir Putin.
As Deputy Prime Minister, this was a man who was deeply committed to a better relationship with the world.
He stood for the rule of law. He stood for freedom of speech. He stood, in a word, for liberty.
So on that day, it was Friday, I worked at RBC television. It was my last working day before a much anticipated vacation with my mother.
Я в этот день приехала из Нижнего Новгорода в Москву, причем ночным поездом. Видимо, когда я уже ехала в метро к Жанне домой, Борис Ефимович уже был убит. Но мы об этом ничего не знали.
So we had a very short conversation with her, and then we went to bed. So what I normally do, I switch off my phone when I go to bed. So my mom didn't do that.
Я еще не успела уснуть, мне позвонила подруга. Таким спокойным каким-то голосом сказала: «Рая, Борю убили». А я, видимо, у меня такой шок был, и я закричала.
So, and she came to me and she said like one sentence, your father was killed and he is dead. And at the first moment, I couldn't believe it. And what I did, I immediately switched on my phone and I saw a lot of messages. So my friends and my colleagues offered their condolences. So, and then I confirmed it by visiting the CNN. You do things irrationally, you do not control yourself at these moments. Because I thought, like, if CNN reports about it, then this is the truth. Yes, it was on the front page.
I'm a well-known guy, and this is a safety. Because if something happened with me, it will be a scandal not only in Moscow city, but throughout the world.
So, and I started to cry, and then I said, Putin did it. And then I said to my mother, so we should like dress up and go to the bridge. How he was killed, of course, it was a very violent form of killing. He was shot into his back. So my father was killed on this bridge, so in the heart of Moscow, just near the Kremlin. We came to the spot. I think that the police officers asked for our passports, and they allowed us to go to this restricted area, and I think they took this body, yes, to the morgue.
На дороге не надо стоять, уважаемые, будьте добры.
So we spoke for a little bit, and then I told my mother, so let's have a drink. We have to decide how we should deliver the news to my grandma, to my father's mother, who is still alive. She's 95 years old.
Жанна дозвонилась до брата. Он принял решение идти ночевать к ней, потихоньку зайти, у него были ключи, и просто утром уже вместе с сестрой Бориса Ефимовича это пересказать события, и еще они вызвали на всякий случай скорую помощь. Она вышла, по-моему, стоически к скорой помощи и сказала, что можете ехать, все в порядке.
And she said, we have to pack and to go to Moscow right now. I was impressed that she decided to attend the memorial march in Moscow.
People occasionally would shout slogans like Russia without Putin or no to war or other sort of opposition slogans.
So it was a march, so she walked for 2 hours together with everybody, and in a sense it was a relief for her because she saw so many people. Honestly speaking, I didn't expect so many people to come. Over 50,000 people attended the march only in Moscow. And of course, for us all, for our family, it was very important. My grandma attended the funeral. It was on her birthday. On this day, on the 3rd of March, she turned 87.
Ей важно было увидеть эту толпу людей. Да, вот очень многие машины сигналили, когда мы ехали. Типа прощальные такие.
After dinner, I decided to go to the bridge to lay flowers together with my mom. There was a mountain of flowers. A mountain of flowers, literally. At that point, I could not control my emotions, and I just fell in the flowers and started to cry. And then I saw a police car passing. And then I ran to this police car, but I didn't do anything else because I was just outraged with this fact that they are trying to control here everything and they are looking at people. That's what I said. Yeah, I am not afraid of you.
Всегда была какая-то стена, какая-то опора в случае какой-то беды или несчастья, к кому можно было бы обратиться. Вот. Этой опоры уже нет. Для Жанны, я не знаю, для Жанны это трагедия.
I think it was a very important moment. When you live in Russia, you are influenced by propaganda. If even you try not to listen to it, not to watch television, but you're in this environment, and in this environment we were told my father was not important. So, and we were almost convinced my father was not important. And then we saw 50,000 people, and we said, okay, he is important for our country. And I think it was a pivotal moment for me to take this decision. So I saw so many people who cared about it, and I said to myself, probably I should do something in honor of my father. After the funeral, we decided to go to Desenzano. Actually, I do not remember how I spent these 2 weeks. In order to understand, and you cannot grieve with 1 million people. You need to be left alone, and you realize those things with time. Time, of course, is something that heals all the wounds. I got a lot of media requests. During my first televised interview with the BBC, I said, I think that Putin is politically responsible for my father's murder.
Can I ask you very specifically, do you think President Putin ordered your father to be killed?
He was a critic of Putin. He fought with Putin, with nobody else.
Россия и Украина без Путина.
Therefore, it's Putin that you blame for his death.
Politically, yes. Politically.
Many people could argue it was a very diplomatic response because I might have said criminally responsible, which I did not, because at that time, so the whole investigation was ongoing and we were waiting for some evidence and I couldn't say so. Now I can. Putin, after a couple days of silence, he broke his silence by saying it's a brutal murder, it shouldn't have happened, things like that. And he said, I will take this investigation under my personal control. And I said, okay, no investigation anymore.
They have killed my father. I cannot just keep silence. It's absolutely impossible.
It was first a very powerful statement. It had consequences for me. I don't want to say that I was not shocked. I was in shock and I also was and still I'm full of rage because of it. And I think that these two feelings, shock and rage, guided me through the first months after my father's assassination. So just generally speaking, if you decide to talk, you should talk. If you are intimidated, if you are afraid of speaking, you need to say no to any public appearances or to any media requests. So I was not afraid, obviously. Margarita, everybody knows her as Margie. She's the director of the beach.
I speak in Italy.
So when I told her my story, I sent her a couple of links because I was interviewed also by the Italian media. She somehow sympathized with all my personal story. I have her full support. She is a very politicized person, which is not very common in Italy. And now when I happen to be here, I spend a couple of days, I always go and meet her, and yeah, we're really very good friends.
Жанна is perfect woman, the big woman.
And I think that it is the best remedy possible in this situation. If you want to overcome grief, if you want to overcome stress, you need to do something. I don't remember what it was, but it was as always. I was invited by the Friedrich Naumann Foundation to deliver the freedom speech at their annual, very important event in Berlin. So exactly on this spot, we are in Berlin right now, in the city center of Berlin. Behind my back is the Brandenburg Gate. I was invited to deliver the freedom speech on the 25th of May 2015. It's on my left side. I spoke right at this conference center. It's a huge conference center, so around 1,000 people showed up, and I was pretty much amazed and of course very, very nervous. It was my first major public speaking engagement, so I hadn't had any previous experience. So I was a journalist and I was used to cameras, but my task during this speech was to look into people's eyes.
Welcome, Жанна Немцова.
Good evening, thank you for coming. It's a large audience and we didn't expect.
My speech was titled Propaganda Kills. After the speech, we had a Q&A session moderated by Count Lambsdorff, who now serves as the ambassador of Germany to Russia. Well, yes, my life, actually my new life, began here on this spot. On this day, I learned that Vladimir Kara-Murza, a Russian liberal opposition politician, had been poisoned in Russia. And for me, it was the last straw. And I said, to my mother, I think I don't want to take these risks anymore. I will not be able to work and to speak my mind at the same time. And I want freedom of thought and freedom of speech for myself. And I don't want to leave and to always think about my safety. And that's why I said, so I think I will stay here in Germany. And I said it to Julius, to Baron Julius von Freydeck-Lorenhofen, and to Graf Lambsdorff, Count Lambsdorff. We had dinner together after the event. And they said, not a bad decision, we can help you, which they did. They helped me.
Hi. Good to see you. Good seeing you.
Let's go.
Let's go inside.
Do you like the location?
Very nice.
Because they know you. I was lucky to meet you when I moved to Germany. I think you were one of the first Germans I met, just not far away from here. So
just across the street, really, in the Forum.
Right, where I delivered the speech. Germany is quite a conservative country, but for some reason they chose me. Why?
Inviting you to give the speech was an opportunity for Germans here in Berlin to take a look at Russia through your eyes, your words, and your thoughts. The fact that, of course, knowing the story of your family and what happened to your father, there was a great deal of support for providing you with an opportunity to make a living here and to settle here. I hope you were given a good welcome in Germany.
I can assure you, yes.
I'm happy to hear that. And you've had the opportunity to live in my hometown, which is a coincidence.
For 5 years,
for
guys.
For 5 years in Bonn.
Come visit Bonn.
Yeah.
In German, we say eine kleine Heimat, so my small motherland. And das ist meine kleine Heimat. This is my apartment building. It is on the second floor, and you see these windows. When I moved to Germany, I couldn't utter a single word in German, so my German was zero, but I decided to speak in German.
Hallo, guten Tag.
Hallo, danke schön. Zum Trinken, ich hätte gerne eine kleine Flasche Sprudelwasser.
Sprudelwasser, natürlich, gerne.
Und zum Essen Schafkäse aus dem Backofen.
Ja, wunderbar, alles klar.
Das war's.
So there were two important things. So Julius introduced me to Deutsche Welle, the German public broadcaster. So he actually helped me find a job. Graf Lambsdorff helped me, I think, politically because he learned about my plan to set up the Nemcov Fund, and he put me in touch with people at the Friedrich Naumann Foundation. They gave me their brand, their name, their connections.
Bitte schön, einen guten Appetit wünsche ich Ihnen, ja?
Danke.
Bitte schön, gerne.
Many people whom I met, they asked me two questions. Where do you live? My answer was Bonn. Is it boring? To be bored or to be cheered up, it all depends on an individual. And we are in the center of Europe, so it takes you 3 hours to get to Amsterdam, it takes you 4 hours to get to Paris, and that's what I did sometimes when I finally got bored in my peaceful place. But I like Bonn, and you should visit Bonn.
I believe it's a number of achievements that you've had here since coming here, with not much, frankly. You came here, you didn't speak German, but you made a life here. You worked at Deutsche Welle.
What interview did you watch, which I did for Deutsche Welle?
Yes, remind me.
This guy from the United Kingdom.
Oh, Boris Johnson?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. They showed you, and I texted you that you're on the Tagesschau, on sort of our major public news channel. That's right.
You must understand, Ms. Nemcova, Жанна, we don't want to do this.
It was my first job, and because I worked at Deutsche Welle, I had a work permit here, and it was very, very important. This is the place where I worked for 5 years. This is the central office of Deutsche Welle, the German public broadcaster. It gave me a different perspective because I switched from business journalism to political journalism. Yes, it was a weekly program, and also the goal was to interview really high-profile people, mainly politicians.
If I can choose one of my interviews to present to you, I would choose my interview with Boris Johnson. And he is quite an experienced politician. He knows how to answer questions. And still he said something which was misleading. Do you have any solid evidence that Putin directly ordered it? Because what you said is the most direct accusation of Russia's leader ever. And it sparked heated debate. And it was interesting that after this interview, I got a request from the BBC radio. And previously they had asked me to speak about my father. And this time they asked me, could you comment on Boris Johnson? And also after this interview, I came up with a joke. 2 Borises have changed my life. One is Boris Nemcov, another is Boris Johnson. Mr. Johnson, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My last question would be about me. So you said you described me as a very insecure person about my future. Have I changed?
What you have achieved here is really quite remarkable. I mean, to think of the foundation that you've set up here in Germany, the Boris Nemcov Foundation, your continued cooperation with the Friedrich Naumann Foundation.
Thanks for this.
Yes.
It was what we call in Russia at the beginning, it was my roof, krysha.
Krysha, yeah.
I'm very thankful. You were very brave.
But as I said, this is something that I believe is important that we should do that. So it's not, that you were just taking, you were also giving back. And I think that's marvelous.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the main problem is with I think Patrick knows all my stories. This is my educated guess, because I'm always speaking.
Yes.
He's not a teacher at all. He is just a British actor. Just a British actor. I think that when Patrick is here, I speak better than without Patrick because I concentrate more. So, and the objective was to improve my pronunciation. This is the story, guys. I worked with Crooked Media. Another Russia. We produced this podcast with Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes used to work with Baraka Obama. He was his speechwriter, and he wrote the career speech for which Barack Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize.
On a cold winter evening in 2015, Vladimir Putin's #1 public enemy, Boris Nemcov, was shot 4 times.
We did a podcast together about her father's life, Another Russia, which really told the story of what's taken place in Russia over the last couple of decades through the story of her incredible father, Boris Nemcov. And I think part of what is so motivating about Жанна, like her father, she's smart, she's funny, she's stubborn, she's charismatic, an incredibly inspiring and powerful voice for democracy and human rights in Russia and around the world.
I'm quite happy with the podcast. So it was a good idea. It was quite popular in the United States of America, in the UK, and in Canada. I was so happy about it.
Good job!
Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
We love Bon because of our friends.
Yeah. Cheers! Cheers! Cheers!
The question was whether I'm crazy to leave Deutsche Welle. I am. I think of it, it was a calculated risk for me. So at that time I had the foundation, it was fully operational, and I felt I should devote more time to my own venture. First, you need to wish for something. You need to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, you will not achieve anything. I was obsessed. I was literally obsessed with those ideas. I wanted it so much. I wanted it badly to produce a podcast in English. I wanted it badly to create a foundation. And these were my dreams. I follow my dreams. That's it. So where is my home? My answer would be, Europe is my home. I have recently moved to Prague, and I'm planning to spend here 2 years. So I feel very much at home here. We have the accredited master's degree program at Charles University in Prague. This program is absolutely unique. It's a unique cooperation between The Faculty of Arts and the Boris Nemcov Foundation, we support this program. So we help those people who share our values. We help them in multiple ways. We support some media outlets with grants. We also have a fellowship and a scholarship program. In journalism, we hold the annual Boris Nemcov School of Journalism. The objective of this type of education is to explain to people why democracy matters, why human rights matter, and why autocracy is a worse form of government than a democracy. So this is civic education. If you envision any change in Russia, we need people who not only declare that they understand the concept of human rights, that people are important. We will need thousands, not hundreds, thousands of people with this mindset. We are now in Bochum. The name of this university is RAR University. It is the 5th largest university in Germany. And this year, the Boris Nemcov School of Journalism is hosted by this institute. It was not like a 5-day workshop or a 2-day meetup, but it was a different concept, 3 weeks. Of course, it requires a lot of resources. It is something that can substantially impact your vision, your life, your career. I always try to invite new people who have shown some achievements or really huge successes, and they're ready to share their knowledge. If you ask me a question, what's the most difficult thing for me to organize this program? And you'll be surprised to hear the answer. The answer is to get visas for our Russia-based participants. I am, as you know, a citizen of Russia, a country that has launched a criminal war against Ukraine. And I've been thinking about the reason for the Russian aggression. As a citizen of Russia, I have to say that I'm absolutely ashamed and I feel the pain. When I learned about the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, so my first thought was like, everything is absolutely useless. A lot of pain, a lot of suffering we don't need. During this period, we don't need such programs, we don't need education. This was my first thought, my immediate thought. And then I was thinking like, I think it's a kind of relief for people, especially for those people who are still in Ukraine, who are experiencing unimaginable things, and for them, probably this school is probably not an educational program, though it is, but also a retreat for them.
I'm from Ukraine, from Kyiv. Last year I spent in bomb shelter the most of my time because I didn't leave my city.
Originally, I'm from Kherson city. I spent 6 months during the Russia occupation in my city, in my hometown. I just want to show you a picture of our foundation program. All of them from Ukraine, and this project was a rescue for them and to start their life again from the new page, from the start.
Of course, I contacted all our former alumni of the Boris Nemcov School from Ukraine, and I offered my help, and some people agreed. Tanya Kotelnikova, she's originally from Ukraine, and she fled 2 wars. She is 23 years old. So the first war in East Ukraine, she was born and raised in Horlovka. She left to go Horlovka for Kyiv, and then in 2022, she left Kyiv, and she spent a lot of time in different European capitals and finally ended up in the US. Yes, she has already got her master's degree in human rights from Columbia University, and she is now studying at Yale University to get her second master's degree.
Hi, Жанна! It's nice to see you. How are you?
Хорошо. I have to speak in English.
Yes. today's our first day after school, and I think Жанна played one of the most important roles in my life. First of all, because she helped me when the war started. She basically helped me to move from Ukraine, and she helped me to understand that I need to move, that the situation will be worse. She supported me not only financially, but also morally, because she communicated with me all the time. I heard more explosions, I saw people and they were in panic, they were crying, and one of the things that calmed me down at the time was that I was chatting with Жанна, and she was asking me how I am, and at the time it was very important for me. And the second part, I think she even doesn't know, but she inspired me so much to start my own organization and to help people as well. I really find so much strength and motivation in what she does and what she have accomplished so far, especially with helping Ukrainian students.
Так, начинаем. Василий Крестьянинов. Надо хлопать и фотографировать.
I'm extremely tired, but very happy, and I think that this group is a big inspiration for me and a big motivation to do what I've been doing for 8 years so far. I'm very much impressed with their commitment, with their courage, and with the fact that some of them will go back to Russia.
It might be regarded as me being boastful of my achievements, but the Nemцov Foundation and I will help some people fulfill their dreams.
So if you had asked me in 2013 the question, how do you see your life in 10 years? I would have answered in a quite different way, because of course at that time I couldn't have imagined that I would be forced to live outside of Russia.
Probably nobody expected it would be a full-scale invasion of Ukraine with the aim of capturing the country and putting it under. My dad was murdered because he understood Putin's intentions really early, and he was the only major politician to make these precise predictions, which now has gained him a reputation of a political prophet. Vladimir Putin is the ruler of our country since 2000. So he was elected on my birthday on the 26th of March 2000. I turned 16 years old. So he's been in power, he's been around for 23 years. So all key Putin's opponents are either killed or in jail or in exile. 5 women who are active in journalism, activism, or politics have been poisoned. Yes, it's getting more dangerous right now, even for Russians who are not in Russia, which is a very disturbing sign. But I think at this point I cannot choose. I don't want to be killed. I love my life. I want to stay healthy. But I know that it can happen and I can do nothing about it. So a few words in English. I'm very honored to be here tonight and to present my book. I know why I'm doing it, because I was forced to do that. Not forced, it was my choice, but of course because of my father's assassination. My life is my work. Basically, I always set a new goal and I'm trying to achieve it. So this is my life. I love challenges. I love to work under pressure. I love to solve problems. I think it's a very interesting life. And I'm very privileged to be able to have this opportunity and to be able to travel, to be able to meet a lot of people, to be able to do things that I'm passionate about. So it's a privilege. It's not easy, but it's a privilege.